coming to the business end of the season now. The Premiership and URC coming to a scintillating close. Look, we're very excited for the last couple of weekends fixtures, as well as the Champions Cup and Challenge Cup finals coming up next weekend in London. We got it going on in Tottenham.
Well, I'm going to Tottenham actually.
You're going to Tottenham, that's right. How are we feeling for those? Just as a little sort of preliminary.
What for the finals?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Firstly, I want to talk about the Champions Cup final because it's the lesser game, really. I mean, it's just Leinster versus Toulouse. It's going to be tight.
Mm-hmm.
Both teams have much to prove. Toulouse are going for 6 stars. Leinster are looking for that fabled 5th that they just can't seem to get. It's really depend on the running speed that Toulouse come out them with, and if Ireland's club team can, can deal with the pressure. It is at Tottenham, so you don't have that home venue advantage that Leinster had in previous finals. Is that to say they will win for Toulouse? I'm not sure. I could see it going either way. I'm hoping it's tight, goes to extra time, maybe a couple of drop goals. Thing is, I don't want either team to win, so...
well, you're going to be hard-pressed to find both teams losing, so I think you're going to have to pick one.
Well, why don't we just focus on the more important game, which is Gloucester versus the Sharks. Now, for those who know me quite well, I have a love-hate relationship with the Sharks. They are my club. They always have been. They haven't been having the best of seasons. But for some reason in Europe they've been really, really good. I went to the Harlequins.
Yeah, it's been quite similar paths between those two sides actually in terms of.
At least we didn't have a 19-0 loss.
Yeah, no, there's been similar paths there where you've both been struggling in your respective leagues. Gloucester a wee bit more than the Sharks certainly recently. But there's sort of been parallels, and then they seem to just turn into a different side when they come on against other European sides, so...
It's that motivation, that desire to win the trophy. They don't care about the URC. If you look at the squad playing Cardiff today in Durban, it's a B squad. But unlike that Gloucester B squad, they can hold their own, and I reckon they'll push Cardiff to the limit. They could even win. In regards to the European final, I could see the Sharks winning it just because they have that extra edge, and they have players who've played the big occasions. In that squad are how many World Cup finalists?
Quite a few, I would imagine, yeah.
I mean, if you count for Ebenetzebeth, Bongin Banambi, Makazole Mumpimpi, the first man from South Africa to score in a World Cup final. That's the sort of thing you want on the field.
What was that? The first man from where?
The first man from South Africa to score in a World Cup final, it was Makazole Mumpimpi.
Well, usually been a multiple.
We've only won. 1995 was kicking. 2007 was kicking.
Oh wow!
In fact, since the 2007 World Cup final, every single World Cup game that has ended tryless has finished 15-6, which is a really weird stat, and it hasn't been broken since. But yes, Mumpimpi in 2019 was the first South African to score in a World Cup final. I think that's what's going to add to the Sharks, because you have that level-headed experience. The scrum is so much better than Gloucester's. If we look at their dominance, their power, their coaching, Plumtree's finally coming into his own. The URC has just become an experiment this season. For the finals, I could just see them getting that big game pressure. Where Clermont were leading at the Stoop was that Clermont are a very good top 14 side, used to top 14 play. Gloucester are a English Premiership side, but they aren't used to that same running intensity that you see from the top 14. Can they then attack the Sharks as well? I know Johnny May's in their squad, but
they've got quite quick Josh Hathaway on the wing. They've got quite a back three there.
Gloucester seems to rely on May in those European games for kicking, and
Zach Mercer as well. He's a huge player for them.
But the thing is, Mercer is very big in Europe. You put that, who would you rather have in your squad, Ebenetzebeth or Zach Mercer?
So you favour the Sharks in that one?
I think the Sharks are going to take it because they have the scrum dominance. Nahumba is a way better fly half. Not Nahumba, sorry, Masuku. Nahumba's the Lions fly half. Masuku is a way better fly half. And Johnny May's on his old legs. He's facing a World Cup winner and one of the best sevens players in recent years.
Yeah.
I don't think, maybe Gloucester will surprise us. It would be fun to see, but I just think the Sharks are too good at this point.
Okay. Right, well, we can touch on a wee bit more on that later, but right now we're just going to take a little break. There he is. Luke has got sunglasses on. It's a very lovely day here in Cardiff.
It's for once. I mean, it's the first day of the year we've had sun was yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, alongside the rain and the battering, God has finally smiled on this forsaken land, and we can live in peace.
Jeez, it feels like South Africa in here actually.
No, it doesn't. This is
because this is not warm enough. I wouldn't really have any reference point.
This is a winter's day. The thing is, if I'm in shorts and a shirt, which I am for those who can't see.
Yeah, so this will be going up on YouTube after. So if you see him in his lovely Hawaiian shirt there.
If I'm in my floral shirt and shorts, you should also be in a similar sort of shorts.
No, I've got my hold on, just for
I'm not saying you.
I've got my nice Jack Wills t-shirt on. I've got my.
I've seen people in jeans and jackets. I'm thinking, for me it's warm. What are you doing? You are English. You should be celebrating it. You should be dancing in the streets. This is a rarity.
It's going to turn into one of your articles, isn't it?
Yes, this is going to turn into one of my articles. Why do people not wear shorts when it's nice and warm?
No, I would tend to agree with that. I'm quite a big shorts guy myself. But anyway, moving back to the rugby.
That's the thing we have to do.
That is the thing we have to talk about. We can talk about whether people should be wearing shorts in Cardiff and all.
We might get in trouble if we continue talking about that, though.
Why is that?
I don't know. I'll probably say something.
You'll probably say something very controversial, as you regularly do. But anyway, moving on, I think we're going to start in the URC. Which is your favourite competition.
URC best league.
Spots for the competition are hotting up right now.
I mean, it's what?
We've got a lot of games going on today.
How many teams can make it?
Having a look at the fixtures today. I'm gonna have a look here. I believe there's 10 teams that can make it. Munster with a very impressive result last night at the Hive Stadium in Edinburgh, and
yes, I saw that.
So and Scarlet's managing to beat Parma in a bit of a sort of dead rubber clash there last night. We've got the Bulls who are beating Benetton 31 points to 14, so that's a bit of a
it's gone up. It's 48.
And we've got Ospreys. Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's 48-21.
Oh dear. Alright, well the Bulls seem to be doing that to sides quite a lot this year. We've got the Ospreys playing the Dragons at the Swansea.com Stadium. We've got the Emirates Lions playing the Warriors. So that's a bit of a. That should be a good game.
The thing is, the Lions have to win this game if they want a shot, and I think they're going to throw something. That the only difference is that Franco Smith, who runs Glasgow, he's used to South African conditions. He's a former Springbok.
Yeah. No, well, there seems to be a lot of these, like you've seen the Lou, isn't it, from Bath?
Oh, what, Johan van Graan?
That's it. How do you pronounce that again?
Johan van Graan.
Johan van.
Just pronounce it the British way. Johan van Graan, but it's actually Johan van.
Johan van Graan. I was going to make a point how South Africa really took a not advantage, that makes it sound bad, but they took the chance in Europe to expand, their own game.
Man of South African coaches all over.
Oh, absolutely. There's an incredible amount of talent coming from there.
And also it's former players. Even in the Lions, their attack coach is Jacques Fourie, the centre who was, after being gouged in the second test against the British and Irish Lions, scored that beautiful try in the corner that you always see in the replays, the one where he's bouncing off three guys, but he actually couldn't see out of his left eye.
Oh really?
Yeah, he got gouged in the ruck and he was out on the wing purely because of it.
Yeah. Well, in terms of the actual table, moving back to the URC, there's quite a big gap from 11th to 12th. The Sharks are now in 12th place there, but the Ospreys on 40 points, got the Lions on 44 points, Connacht on 44 points, and Benetton on 48 points. And then you've got you've only got 1 point separating four sides there in terms of Edinburgh, Stormers, Ulster, and Benetton, and then top 4 is quite tight in itself, with 7 points separating the Bulls in 4th and Munster in 1st. So
well, the Bulls are going to secure a home semi-final or home quarter-final, which is massive.
You think so?
Yeah, no, they are. If they win this game, they do. They cannot mathematically be passed.
But they're behind. Oh yes, a home quarter final. That's right. Yeah.
His home semi is very different.
Home semi is very different. It's top 2, isn't it?
I do think the teams that stand the best chance of winning the URC at the moment are that top 5. Because Munster play well anywhere. Glasgow have been very, very good in the north. Leinster, of course, are Leinster. But the Bulls and the Stormers, especially the Bulls, having got to European quarterfinals, can they then push further? I think the Bulls might go all the way. I think
so.
I could foresee a Glasgow versus Bulls final.
Right. Yeah, I don't think you can roll either of those Irish sides as much as
No, the thing is, Munster could go back to back.
Munster could very much go back to back, and they're coming into that sort of. This is the thing with Munster. They obviously got that victory last night, and they're sort of building. They were quite poor early on the season. They weren't even really in the top 8 contention earlier on in the season. They just rose and rose and rose. 2 very impressive back-to-back results in South Africa.
I mean, more importantly, Benetton are 8th.
Yeah.
Benetton, a team that we would have written if we were predicting the top 8 this season. I don't think it would have been talked about.
It would have been outside bets, I would say, but I think they have just sort of punched. Probably punched a wee bit above their weight, but I would say also with the amount of investment and the amount of new players that are coming in,
and also the Italian stars that they have,
and they look to be staying as well. I think with Mencello and Brexit, they look pretty settled at the minute.
And Louis Lana's going there for next season.
That's right. Yeah, he's going there from Harlequins. That's right. He was very impressive in that. Not the semi-final, but he was impressive in the quarter-final against in the Champions Cup quarter-final. Glasgow.
No, they didn't face Glasgow. They faced
that was around the 16.
UBB, Bordeaux.
Oh yes, and I was very impressive in that. As is a lot of Harlequins backline, to be fair. But in terms of this weekend's fixtures, could I get a couple of predictions for you there? Ospreys, Dragons. How do you see that one going?
Well, first of all, I'm going to say Edinburgh and Munster is going to go like 26-29 to Edinburgh.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah. Ospreys, Dragons. It's at Swansea. Dragons. It's just going to be sort of Ospreys 26, Dragons 20. I can't see it being an exciting game.
I'd say it'll be a bigger.
It depends what Swansea does, really. It's not down to the Dragons.
Yeah.
Lions versus Glasgow, that's going to be tight.
I do see Glasgow getting the better of them, though. I think.
So do I. Unfortunately, I can see Glasgow winning that, but I can see the Lions putting up a good fight. They've always been.
They've been
the lesser teams.
They've been in and a win for them would take them into the top 8 if results go their way. I
mean, in 2017 they were in the Super Rugby final, but they've sort of, I think, just a rough couple of years. Connacht versus Stormers are going to take that.
You think so?
Yeah.
Stormers struggled for a lot. Struggled for a while against Dragons, and Dragons have not been great this season. But I would say that's a foregone conclusion. Well, it's going to be even more wet in Galway. I could probably see Stormers just edging that one, but I think it'll be a wee bit tighter.
Benetton have just scored a bonus point.
Or had you?
Yeah, there's 48-28.
Well, that's very important for them because, as I say, that's 8 spots looking
I think
precarious.
I think Stormers will beat Connacht purely because they've got that magic in them that seems to come out whenever Willemse or Galant or Lebok or any of that back line, even Ben Lowe that takes the ball, they are just so good. Sasha, Feinberg and Womble, Zulu, put him in the Springboks this year as like a junior guy to learn, like they did with Willemse in 2018-2019.
Yeah.
Give him a few years. Look at Willemse as possibly 3rd best fullback currently playing.
Who would you be your top 2? Yeah?
Top 2 would probably be Geordie Barrett and Hugo Keenan.
That's a fair show. Is Geordie Barrett not more of a?
He's a utility back, but I would stick him at fullback purely because
I think Willemse he's got the whole package there. I think he's genuinely.
I think because he's got 2 more World Cups in him.
Yeah.
I think he's going to go down as the best fullback of the
modern
era.
Yeah.
I don't, JPL Williams, obviously got that magic, but that was in the pre-professional when it was very different. This is a player that is writing history. 2 World Cups at 25, and you watch him, it's just so much fun to watch.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
His heads up, doesn't he? Well, the heads up rugby, both for the Stormers and the Springboks, has been so clever, and he's learned a lot from Villy LaRue. And, Villy LaRue is possibly the best, is the assist king. It's taken him 16 World Cup games to score a try in a World Cup. I mean, every game for some reason he seems to have some.
He has that IQ though that you very much need, and coming off the bench, he's fantastic.
You saw him at the Bulls. He's working with Aronson and Moody. That's the perfect setup. Get Moody more involved with that Springbok squad. He's 20 years old. He's got a World Cup medal. And
he's a great talent. He's a fantastic talent.
Anyway, Sharks versus Cardiff. It's in Durban. It's the full strength Cardiff side travelling to Durban. They haven't good results there before, but that was sketchy.
They lost last week to the Lions, but I'm not sure if that has much bearing on this one. If it's a weakened,
it's a weakened Sharks side, but it's still.
It's been a disappointing season for Cardiff, hasn't it?
Been disappointing for both teams, really. When you think about how good their legacies should be, I'm going to say the Sharks are going to take it. I reckon it'll be a high-scoring one because the Sharks are just going to get their young guys to run and play that freestyle rugby.
I could see them just about nicking it. I think it's going to be tight, but I would say the Sharks as well. Ulster, Leinster at the Kingspan.
I can see a Gloucester type score there, 19-0 to Leinster.
Are you for real right now?
I'm not winding him up.
No. I actually need to.
I do say I like
team news for that one actually.
I like Ulster's social media page.
It is very. It's actually very good. That is true. Let's see. Just trying to get the team up. I'm not sure what sort of team they're going for. Just gonna try and get up here. Quite interesting to see.
I reckon Ulster have to win this.
Yeah, they've got quite a strong team. To be fair, they got Harry Byrne, got Charlie Nagata, Jimmy O'Brien, Hugo Keenan, Mike Stegan, James Ryan.
Wait,
it's a pretty strong.
Does Keenan play for Ulster? I thought he was.
No. This is Leinster.
Leinster.
Ulster's is quite strong as well.
I was just thinking, Ireland A versus Ulster's going to be tight, but. I can see Ulster winning it, but I can also see
you made that joke the first time,
and it's still the same because it's accurate. They are
quite accurate, to be fair.
They're getting Archer Sneyman next year as well, which is an absolute steal.
Yeah, that's right. There's a bit of.
And they've also got Jacques.
And not to forget, this is the first game in charge for Richie Murphy full time. He's nailed down a 2-year deal with Ulster there.
Wow, yeah. He's got something to prove there. Former
under-20s coach. This is his sort of first venture into one of the provincial sides, I guess you could say. So he's got a lot to prove there, and it's a side that's been battered and bruised quite a lot and they've shown promise in the last couple of years, and a lot of those players, and now it's gone wrong for them. It's gone wrong with Dan McFarland, and now they've got to go and prove themselves again.
Is that Ulster under 20s or Ireland under 20s? Sorry.
Ireland under 20s.
Oh, wow. Okay. The thing is, he's going up against the defence coach for Leinster. I think is going to have a big impact.
Yeah. I
mean, he's not that.
It's one of those games at the end of the season. I've watched Ulster for many years, and it's one of those games at the end of the season where I could see Ulster actually taking it. Because honestly, Leinster towards the end of the season, I suppose they do need the points because they need to secure that home semi-final.
I think Leinster fluctuates so much. I can see Ulster winning it as well. I can honestly see Ulster win sort of 24-20.
I think I've seen this game played quite a few times. I think Ulster always at this stage of the season, they're always trying to secure something, a spot in the playoffs, and Leinster's usually pretty nailed down in the playoffs position. So I could see Ulster just about taking it, but I think it'll be a very tight one. In terms of moving on, this is the penultimate round, so there's another round.
Oh, there's
one more round coming at the end of May after the after that. And how do you see this going? How do you see Who's your 8 teams that would get
My
through to the-
8 team. Let me just check here.
We've got, the quarterfinals begin on the 7th of June, by the way, 7th and 8th of June.
Well, I mean, my 8 teams are obviously going to be, I'm going to be realistic here, I'm not going to joke. My 8 teams are Munster, Glasgow, and I'm going to have the Bulls ahead of Leinster. And I'll have Stormers, and I think that top 8, really.
Yeah.
The only one
Do you think anyone's going to break in there?
The only one I could see is if the Lions have 2 fantastic games. The Cardiff aren't consistent enough to win these 2 17-18 games. Sorry, round 17-18. The Lions, I mean, let me check who they're playing. They're playing.
Connacht have Leinster on the final game, so that's 2 really difficult games for them. So
the Lions have the Stormers. Now the Stormers can't mathematically pass the Bulls. If I was Stormers head coach, I'd rest my best players for that game.
Well, Benetton, they've got Edinburgh, so that's a bit of a sort
That's
of.
Again, I think the Lions can make it up there. It would be very interesting if they did.
I think they're the only side in there that you would imagine could get in there.
Because they can become clinical all of a sudden. Also, the housery that you get off the Hamburg in a Coulter final would be amazing. This is why I can't wait for that Springbok test, because it's just going to be Nohamba and Masuku being absolute houses, going up the Welsh.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, no, I would probably agree that top 8's probably not going to change at this stage. You got that 4-point buffer from 8th to 9th.
It's only if
I don't think the fixtures for teams like Connacht and Lions are favourable enough for them to push.
It depends on what happens to Ulster and Benetton, really. Or Edinburgh.
I mean, technically, Ospreys are still mathematically possible to get in,
Actually,
but
hold on. I've just clocked something. Edinburgh on 49 points, but they've already done a round. That means if the Lions win with a bonus point, they tie with Edinburgh. They're already tied with Edinburgh on 49 points.
They probably would get a bonus point there. So I think we're both sort of agreeing the Lions are more likely than anyone else to get in there.
I most definitely think the Lions are the likely team to do it. I also like the Lions a lot.
Yeah. No, well, I do think, especially the Edinburgh travelling to Benetton in the last game.
I think teams like Glasgow and Edinburgh travelling to South Africa, it's a lot harder than say.
No. That's Edinburgh travelling to Benetton.
Oh yeah, but I also mean for the Glasgow Lions today, it's a big ask. I know the head coach is South African, but a lot of the players aren't. They're still not used to that intensity.
It's always going to be a difficult thing, but I feel like as the years will go on, sides will get used to playing.
That's just going to make it better. But
yeah, that's just going to make it more competitive.
The one thing I do like is that, except for maybe
that goes the other way around, doesn't it? In terms of sides.
But except for maybe the Irish sides, I think South Africans are the most homegrown teams because they don't import anyone. Then it's the Irish with the next most homegrown players.
Yeah.
The rest of them are a sort of jumble of players from all over, and I think that's why the Springboks in Ireland get better, because in the URC, Leinster have always been dominant, but that's because it's the Irish team who play together in the biggest of games. Well, nothing past the quarter-final.
That joke never gets old.
No, it doesn't.
Never gets old. It's kind of like his Ireland Day joke, isn't it?
I love it. I think you all do too. I mean, you're not going to get past the round of 16 in 2027 anyway, because it's another knockout game. The thing is, I think
I'll just have to sit here and take that, to be honest.
Yeah.
I can't really argue, until we actually make it past the quarter-final. I'm just going to have to sit and take that.
You're never going to see another quarter-final again. Well, you got round of 16 now, that's a knockout game. The thing is that when you have that, the Sharks and the South African teams never won really in Super Rugby because they didn't have those important Polynesian players. But then when it came to international games, those teams were more unified because everyone was playing together week in, week out. They knew each other, they knew. That's why Ireland have been so good, because they have a team that play so hard for so long with some of the best coaches in the world. And I think that's what the URC showed.
Yeah, well, I think you're definitely on something there. I think in terms of the homegrown talent and that sort of continuity that gives you. that is a very big thing for sides.
This is what Scotland was lacking with only 2 unions.
Yeah, well, I think the game in Scotland, I mean, you've seen the switch for Edinburgh from Murrayfield to the Hive Stadium. I think that's improved things, but it is also just an example of how, you know, you're not going to fill out those stadiums. You're never really going to fill out those stadiums in Scotland.
They're lacking promotion. They're lacking that one. It's a complete inverse in like South Africa, where they had 56,000 people turn up.
Although I do think they're doing a lot better than the Welsh rugby.
Oh no, the Welsh rugby.
Oh,
of course, no. And I do. The Italians have probably had the best season for increase in participation. You know, because everyone's getting behind Benetton there. They're just loving it. But again, in SA, they're filling out stadiums, like big stadiums. They're filling.
Yeah, no, that's improved. That has certainly improved as the years.
One thing you see from a TV angle, they'll say, I was like, there 20,000 fans here, but it looks empty because Kings Park is a 60,000 person stadium.
Yeah, why is it so? Why, just as someone that knows a wee bit more about the South African game, why are the stadiums so big for the sides?
Because
if they're not being filled.
Because in SA they always use those stadiums for international rugby. Because it's about, you know, it's a big country. You got to get it to everywhere. You can't really have the official home stadium is Ellis Park, but because it's such a big stadium with so many different people, you need to be able to go around the country and do the different stadiums. It's a bit like how New Zealand do it.
Yeah.
And as a result, you know, you've got people turning up to every game. That's 80,000 people per game at these stadiums. Then you want those big stadiums. And why not have, instead of having them just sit empty for a season, why not let the club teams use them? And for things like the Currie Cup, you have a lot of fans. The Currie Cup final always fills out a stadium. But also the Stormers at the Breadbasket, I don't know if you've ever seen it, you know, the circular one they built for the Football World Cup? It's circular, it's in Cape Town. I haven't been in it, but I saw it when I was there.
Okay.
It's spectacularly beautiful. It takes about 80,000 people, and they're getting 56,000 at the domestic games, so it's proving it's worth it. It's also Ellis Park. If you go into the changing rooms, in the home changing room there's just a normal setup. In the away changing room there's a column in the middle. It's not for any kind of structural purpose, it's just there so the head coach has to walk around the column every time they're talking. They can't stand in one place and it messes up with their brain.
Wow, okay, well that's mind games right there. Right, well that was our URC roundup. In terms of looking at sides that could potentially go on and win the tournament, who do you fancy?
Top 4, Glasgow Bulls, Munster and Leinster.
Any sides outside of that top 4 that you see?
Maybe the Stormers.
Stormers? Yeah.
I
tend to agree with that. I think Benetton have shown a lot of...
They're not going to win though.
They're not going to win, but they could spring a surprise, I think, here or there.
Yeah.
Well, that was our URC roundup. Shall we take a wee break and
sure.
put on a bit of music? You're yawning here. Am I boring?
Look, I've had a bit of a... Listen, I woke up at about 11ish.
He's had a lot of exams this week, so...
It's been a rough one, to say the least.
Yeah.
That maths one killed me, and then yesterday's macroeconomics was draining as well.
Tell me this, how's your rugby refereeing going?
Good fun. I'm still loving it. I haven't done much in a while, but when the next season comes, maybe get back into it. It's rewarding and stressful at the same time. You know, it gives you a lot more appreciation. You give a lot more appreciation for like Luke Pearce and Carl Dixon, because you're watching them, you're thinking, okay, that's why he's made that decision. You know, I had guys at the Twickenham Stoop game, they were arguing over a rule, and I said to them, ref's right there because they've seen this, and also the rules of rugby state, this is this, you have to give a card for, like the playing the man in the air. It's not a card because it's the angle of entry, it's about how late they were in.
It's a real rugby education for you, I would imagine. I mean, in terms of myself, like, there's the amount of rules. Like, I think you said this to me, is like the amount of rules that rugby actually has, and you don't even realise it, and the referees just let it go.
The referee, you know, there has never been a completely legal ruck in an international rugby game, but it's how you interpret the law.
Yeah.
And the idea of refereeing is interpreting the law so the game runs, but you pick up the actual bad stuff. You know, you don't want to let everything go, and you don't want to let nothing go. Yeah. There's a median point, and you just have to work out where your is. It's also who you favour.
I'm very much in the choice of favouring the attacking team. I like to reward the attacking team, but I also reward defence if I'm impressed by what they've done. That's what a lot of referees will do, is they will see, you know, okay, they've held the ball up there well, I will give them the hold up, because my touch judge might saying, did it maybe saw it ground, but to me, because they've held up, he's pulled the player over, I think he's stopped him from grounding, I'm going to reward him, no try, carry on. On the inverse, if I've seen a player jump for the corner, put the ball down, you know, one of those diving ones, and my touch judge says, couldn't see it, but he looked like he was inside, that's great, I'm going to give the try, because I don't get that. I can't just, you know, call the TMO.
No, you can,
I do have a fourth ref, but even he can't call those angles. So it's just saying, all right, to me that's a try. He's grounded it. My touch judge says he was not in touch. We're going to give it. And it's that, but it gives you that aspect where you realise that refs are working so hard because they're watching everything. You're trying to watch the ruck, which is a mess, whilst trying to watch for offside on the other side of the pitch, whilst trying to watch the guys about to chip and chase and the guys aren't in front of him, or the people who are in front of him aren't moving. Your entire head is spinning. That's what makes it great.
No, it's that sort of thrill, isn't it? Of am I going to get squashed between two massive number 8s?
I will say getting hit between a ruck is an interesting one.
Yeah, I imagine it wouldn't be a cup of tea. Anyway, who's in terms of just to sort of extrapolate on it a wee bit more, who would you say is your rugby referee inspiration?
I've got two. Nigel Owens, MBE, and Wayne Barnes.
Oh, very good, yeah. Could you tell a wee bit why you admire each?
Nigel,
so we here on the Ruck and Roll Show, we're a big fan. We've got big respect for referees because I think that's part of the values of the game, isn't it?
You understand, you know, honestly, Bryce Lawrence disgraced the cause in 2011 with doing over the Yarpies conspiracy.
Oh, okay. Well,
we made we actually got educated about it. He made 76 mistakes in an 80-minute match.
Oh dear. No, I can't say I've.
Yeah, it's a. But Nigel Owens, who's also a wonderful
interesting story with Nigel Owens. He was actually, my dad used to play for Ballyclare Rugby Club, and they had their 75th annual anniversary recently, last Saturday night actually, and Nigel Owens was actually the guest speaker at that event. So he got up and he spoke for hours on end about all his rugby experiences and stuff like that.
You know, I put a tweet out and he responded to me saying, all right, I'll get you in touch with Sean Brickerell, you know, the head of rugby refereeing. He's a lovely guy.
He's a lovely guy, and he's been he's been through quite a lot. I've seen I think he nearly.
He had issues, you know. He got a lot of hate because he is, you know, he's gay, but
he had that, and then he had mental health issues.
But then he's come out of it, and you know, he's quite a. What I do like about him is he relates to the players. You know, he makes jokes like, "I'm straighter than that one." That's line out.
Yeah,
or
classics. You just have you ever found yourself watching it?
Yes,
yeah.
But the way Wayne Barnes is also good because he talks to the players, you know, and he gets to know them first name basis. But he also is harsh when he needs to be, like that red card in the Premiership final to Dylan Hartley. That was, I think Dylan Hartley was speaking back about it now, and he says, "Yeah, no, I have to agree with it." Barnes made the correct call on the day, and the same with Nigel Owens saying, "This is not soccer. Come back in 2 weeks if you want to do that again."
You just enjoyed that one because it was against Stuart Hogg, who was against this.
I loved it. No, but just as a moment goes, just as a rugby moment. This is not soccer, come back in 2 weeks if you want to die like that. That's the kind of thing a referee should be. And you also appreciate how good your cardio has to be to be ref. And those guys, you know, they're in their early 40s and they are running possibly double the distance that some of the players run in the game. Up and down, up and down, up and down, watching, analysing. You're not just a spectator, you are... I genuinely believe that you are possibly one of the hardest working people on the pitch because there's so much going through your head. There's so much responsibility. And the best part about rugby refereeing is the respect.
Absolutely. It's the fact that you've got this man who's maybe not in as good shape or as physically imposing as the players that he's refereeing, but he just gets to tell them what to do. I
mean, okay, so for an example, we had a tackle I was doing a game, I think it was Phys3 versus Psychology. Phys3 winger's got the ball, he's running, he's falling, he's tripped. The Psychology captain hits him high, sort of shoulder to neck, head area. But the guy's about a foot off the ground. You know, he's going to make a tackle. So I say it's a penalty for a dangerous tackle. It's only a penalty because the player's falling so much, but it's still, you know, you made dangerous contact. The captain accepted it very well. The winger for Psychology and the number 14, he says, "Oh, this effing ref, what the F is he doing?" So I can just say, Captain 14, that's dissent, it's a yellow card. You know, you're off the pitch. And the captain tells the 14 to get off the pitch. You know, he accepts it. I marched in 10. But there was always that respect to say, this player has done wrong. I'll accept the penalty that I gave away, but I'll also accept that my player has done that to you. He's not allowed to do that to you. And it is a yellow card, so that dissent is fine. That call you made is fine. I want my player off the pitch because you can't be doing that. That is what I love about the sport, because you have captains who are very respectful. When you have captains that aren't, you have to deal with them first and then the players.
Yeah.
When you have
that makes your job.
When you have captains that are respectful and just want to talk to you and find out why you're making the calls, inquire, maybe a bit cheeky and push it, but they just want to know what you're going through, your thought process, so they can work it out to play. It makes it more rewarding because you then see them actually play quite well, because their chipping chases, their hard lines are so good. Because they know what I like to see in a game of rugby and where I'm going to be a bit more lenient than, say, another ref who might be harsher there but then be a bit more lenient on the knock-on or something. I'm very harsh on knock-ons and offside. And hands in the ruck, that kind of thing. I like to reward hands on the ball, steal. I like to reward a good steal. But I don't like to reward players acting dangerously. So that's where I've seen players fly into a ruck and I've gone straight away, penalty. Right, you can't do that, just keep yourself calm. It's also about relating to the player and saying, I understand what you're doing, you know, you're trying to steal the ball, but you can't fly in like that, so just be careful and you'll be fine. Player then goes and makes a steal 5 minutes later, that's a good job. You know, it's always about being positive, never about being negative.
Yeah.
If a player is negative, you just got to roll with it.
Yeah, well, that's fascinating to hear all that from you. It's an interesting perspective, really. It's not one that many, certainly rugby fans, can relate to, you know, because not many do rugby refereeing. But yeah, no, it's fantastic to hear your thoughts, and that is fantastic to see you developing as you have in this year. But yeah, we're just going to take a wee break there.
All right, English Premiership time.
English Premiership time indeed. Yeah, we've got 5 games going on today actually. We've got
Come on, Bath.
all 5+3 kickoffs. We've got Bath at the Rec against Northampton Saints.
Bath will take that. Bath will take that.
Do you think so?
I've got an interesting stat about Bath. 2 players, including in Europe, 2 players from Bath have scored 11 tries this season. Do you know who they are? Ollie
Lawrence. No.
Joe Cockney.
No.
Joe Cockney-Singer is one
okay.
of them.
I could have guessed that.
Second player.
Maybe Tom Dunn. Alfie Barbary. Don't know who else it would be.
Thomas Dutoy. Mega signing for Bath. Been so good. Yeah. And in the scrum, you've seen that power come through. So you know.
So you think you see them? So looking at the Premiership standings there, we've got 7 teams. Well, we've got Northampton Saints who are through, and as well as Saracens both through. Northampton are more or less secured that sort of first seeding, if they can just go up. Saracens could leapfrog them today if results go their way. Saints are on 60 points, Saracens are on 56, Bath are on 55. They're pretty secure in their place as well. Sale are on 52. They play.
Well, there are 7 teams that can make it to the finals.
7 teams that can make it. Sale travel to Saracens today, so that could be a tough fixture for them if Saracens are want that first seeding and want to secure that home semi-final. So that's a big one for them. Bristol, Harlequins and Bristol, who are 6th and 7th, both on 50 and 49 points. They are playing at the Stoop today. Exeter travel to the Leicester Tigers, and then Gloucester and Newcastle play each other in the sort of bottom of the league clash. Well, how do you see these fixtures going today? I think we'll start with the sort of top of the table one there with Bath and Saints at the Rec. How do you see that one going?
I'd love to see Bath win. Really would love to see Bath win. As you know, I've got a Bath jersey. I'm quite a big fan, you know. Will they? I think so.
I think a home advantage is a big thing.
The home advantage for Bath, especially at the
Russell
Rec.
back in as well last week against Newcastle.
So
a big boost for them.
I
Come towards the end of the season.
I think they're just proving how good they are. You know, I know Northampton decimated Gloucester last week, but that was like Gloucester B. We just seen how poor they are. Is this a team that can win the Prem? Not sure.
I think it's Saints to lose myself. Although I don't know whether Saints will go all out for the victory today. I suppose they will want that first seeding in the home semi-final.
No, they want the home semi-final against. I guess it will.
Well, I think they're nearly guaranteed that home semi-final if.
Saracens versus.
Saracens Sale is a big one because Sale sit in fourth
So
place.
it's a repeat of the final.
Yeah. No, well, they sit in fourth place, so they could actually leapfrog Saracens, or conversely, Harlequins, Exeter, or Bristol could leapfrog them and take their spot in the playoffs. So it's a huge game for Sale at Saracens. There's a couple of permutations on that game.
I would love for Sale to beat the Saracens, but also
How do you see Sale's Saracens going then?
home advantage for Saracens is massive.
Yeah.
However, Sale, it's a revenge game for Sale.
Sale have more riding on it, I believe. In terms of, I know Saracens when they get that home semi-final, but they're already secured within that playoff spot. So
You know, might as well let get him. Would you mind talking for a second? I'm just gonna.
yeah, of course. So we got spots. There's a lot of different permutations today in terms of those three sides outside. We got Bristol, you got Harlequins, and you got Exeter, all looking to break their way into that fourth spot. I believe there's 3 points separating Sale in fourth place and Bristol in seventh. So that is that's not a very big gap, is it?
What is it? Oh, the gap between the teams.
The gap between the teams, yeah, it's not very big.
I can see. Right. Realistically thinking, Bath will take Saints. Will they get the bonus point that they need? Not sure. If they do, they'll leapfrog Saracens because Saracens versus Sale, I don't think there's a bonus point there. If there is a bonus point, it's going to go to Sale because they're just going to be so hungry for it. The rest of the games, Northampton versus Gloucester. Gloucester are going to win that unless Northampton are so motivated they can finally get a win.
Newcastle, you mean?
Sorry, Newcastle.
If as a King's home as well.
If Gloucester lose that, they are in an awful place for next weekend.
Do you think this is a big bearing? Do you think this fixture has come at a good time for them in terms of Newcastle coming up?
Yes and no. Yes, because it could be an easy win. No, not the right team to face before you face in the final.
You need someone a wee bit more.
One of the reasons why teams like SA and New Zealand so good in it, why New Zealand was so dominant against Argentina was because of how they had to fight against Ireland. Why was South Africa so good in the final defensively? Because England had torn them. England and France had tried to tear them up in that quarter and semi. It is why the best teams are all so good in the finals, is because they have that pressure beforehand. Gloucester versus Benetton for that at the semi wasn't as intense as that Clermont Sharks game, was it?
No, it wasn't.
Is that a hindering factor? I think so.